In today's video, I'm checking out the mute lineup from Hawkins Mutes. What's going on, everyone? Joshua Rzepka here, and welcome to another Mute Monday. If you're new around here, welcome. Mute Monday is a series where I discuss and demonstrate different trumpet mutes. Today, I am very excited to be sharing with you 3 brand new mutes from Hawkins Mutes. These are some really cool, very interesting 3D printed mutes. You can see from the look of them, these are very unique. There is a cut mute, there is a straight mute, and then a Piccolo Trumpet Straight Mute. So I'm going to be checking out all 3 of these, showing them to you, playing them. Now, I had the opportunity to speak with the creator of these mutes, the inventor, Tony Hawkins. He is in Cambridge in the UK, and we talked about a lot, how he designed these, how many prototypes he went through. Now, before we dive into all of that information, let's check these mutes out up close. Now, starting off, check out this cut mute. This is such a cool cut mute. Let's look at it up close. Now, as you can see, this mute, it's got a lot of different facets to it. These are 3D printed, and check out how the cork is attached. It is cut at an angle, and it kind of spins and fits the contour of the mute. Very cool. And it's not just a cool design, it is functional as well, and he does that with all of the mutes. Now, let's move on to the straight mute. Let's check this out up close. As you can see, this is a cool looking mute. I really dig how it's got all these different facets to it. It just makes it so unique. Now, again, this design, it isn't just for the aesthetic. It's not just to look cool. All these different facets, they are functional, and it affects how the mute plays, how it sounds, how it responds. And rounding out the lineup, check out this straight mute for the Piccolo Trumpet. Check this out up close. As you can see, it's got all those facets. It's 3D printed. It is very, very unique. I really dig what they've done with these corks. You know, how they kind of follow a contour around it. I haven't seen any other mute where the cork is attached like that, and it's really very interesting. Now, I've got to add real quick a big thanks to Hawkins Mutes for sending me these 3 mutes. However, this video is not sponsored. Now, as I mentioned, I had the opportunity to speak with the creator of these mutes, Tony Hawkins, out of Cambridge in the UK, a trumpeter turned horn player. However, along the way, he's done startups. He's been in law. He is a serial inventor. His first invention was an inflatable jacket that kind of keeps you insulated and warm. I had the chance to talk to him and hear about these mutes and what the idea was behind them. What was the process? The first mute that he created, it was this straight mute. And this mute right here, he told me he did about 20 prototypes for this mute. He really thought that all the facets, that it was gonna help create the sound that he wanted. Designing it like this and making it out of this material, 3D printing it, it would kind of bridge the gap in between a metallic straight mute and maybe a wooden and fiber mute. Have something in the middle. Now, these mutes, they are 3D printed out of PLA, and Tony said that that is a little bit more environmentally friendly. In his opinion, this is a better sounding material for making 3D printed mutes. Part of the reason why he stopped becoming a trumpet player was because by some random fluke, he burst an eardrum. He started experiencing some tinnitus and sensitivity to higher frequencies. And I think that that has helped shape this mute a little bit, trying to get away from that edgy, harsh metallic sound. So it makes sense that he wouldn't make a mute out of metal. And 3D printing, it just makes it so easy to prototype and make mutes on your own. So really very cool that he created these mutes. With the cut mute, he told me there were not nearly as many prototypes. So 20 prototypes on the straight mute. With the cut mute, he said it was really just a couple prototypes until he felt that he had gotten it dialed in. For the Piccolo Trumpet Straight Mute, he didn't tell me how many prototypes he made for this, but comparing this with the standard straight mute, it really just looks like a miniaturized version. Now, with all 3 of these mutes, there were a lot of things he was really trying to engineer into the design to really make the best mute possible. Of course, he wanted to have a specific sound and an even sound from low to high, and he wanted that response and the articulation and the clarity, and even told me that there is a patent applied towards one of the features that was designed into these mutes that has to do with its playability. So you've seen these mutes up close, you've heard a little bit of the story. Let's hear how they sound. All right, so you've just heard these 3 mutes, and what did you think? Which one was your favorite? Let me know in the comments below. And while you're at it, why don't you hit that like and subscribe? It really makes a very big difference. Starting off with this cup mute, what did you think about this? I gotta say, this is a really cool mute, and I was impressed. I wasn't really quite sure how this was gonna play, how it was gonna respond, and you know, the sound of it. I really think it's got a nice sound coming through this microphone. And I've got to say, Tony was really trying to create a mute that was in tune with a great response, low to high, and I think he did a really good job. The intonation on this mute is solid. The response, the sound from low to high, I think it's pretty even. The articulation is nice. It's got a nice kind of edge to it, but it's not too bright. It's not too zingy, too metallic like you know, a metal mute would be. And I know that's something he was trying to get away from a little bit, to try and bridge the gap from those metal mutes to the fiber mutes. Now, as far as what musical situations would you want to use this mute? For me, I would really gravitate towards that solo work. Small jazz group, smaller chamber groups, quintet. I think that this mute would really give a great character. It would not be too overbearing. It wouldn't be too loud. It wouldn't have too much edge to the sound, and it would have just the right amount of projection. And as you heard, it sounds great into a microphone. Now, moving on to the straight mute. What did you think about this? I gotta say, I was impressed about this mute. The intonation from low to high, it was actually really very good. The response, the articulation throughout the standard range of the trumpet, it was nice. Once I started getting up above a high C, it did feel like I had to blow a little harder than I wanted to. The notes, they still came out, it still worked, but as I was getting into that higher register, I did feel like I needed to kind of lean on it a little bit more. However, the sound that I was getting, it wasn't that, you know, edgy, metallic, bright sound like you would get out of a you know, an aluminum or a copper or a brass straight mute. It still had this nice, big, full sound. I just felt like I had to kind of push it a little bit more than I wanted to. And the articulation, really nice. It's consistent from low to high. So I really think that he nailed what he was trying to achieve with this mute as far as playability and evenness is concerned, and intonation. So as far as what I would use this mute for, I think probably a lot of the same situations as the cup mute. It's got a great sound to it. I really like you know, the response, the articulation on this. It's not too, you know, direct and pointed. It's kind of got like a nice front to it. That's something I think a lot of people will really be looking for, especially if you're kind of going into you know, mid to upper register. Straight mutes, they can get really bright. They can get really kind of zingy. Some of them, they get too bright and zingy. So this might be a great solution for that. And yeah, this is a nice mute, so I am digging that. Now, what did you think about the Piccolo Trumpet Straight Mute? Gotta say, I haven't reviewed very many Piccolo Trumpet Straight Mutes, but I really like the sound on this. The Piccolo Trumpet on its own, it's bright. It's got a lot of high frequencies to it. You know, the articulation, it can be really harsh. And because of that, a lot of metallic straight mutes, they just tend to accentuate what's already happening with the Piccolo Trumpet. They make it even brighter. They make it even more abrasive. And that can be really challenging, especially if you need to have a soft, muted passage with a nice sound on the Piccolo Trumpet. And I think that this mute just nails it. As you heard, I played through a lot of the range on the Piccolo Trumpet. I didn't go down all the way to the lowest note, but I went about as high as most people are going to play the Piccolo Trumpet, and certainly higher than any muted passages that I'm aware of on the Piccolo Trumpet. And I gotta say, this mute is really nice. It held up. It had a nice sound. It had a nice even articulation. Intonation on a Piccolo Trumpet, well, that's a video of its own. You know, Piccolo Trumpet can be very challenging to play in tune, but this mute, it doesn't make it worse. That is the important thing. It doesn't make the intonation worse. Piccolo Trumpet, it is hard enough to play just to begin with. You don't want to, you know, put something in it that's going to make it even more challenging. And I found that, you know, it was a nice even blow throughout all the registers. So really very happy with this Piccolo Trumpet Straight Mute. This is going to be one that I'm going to be grabbing in the event that I need a straight mute for the Piccolo Trumpet, and I've got to play, you know, kind of medium to way up high, and have a nice kind of warm sound, solid articulation, without just, blowing everyone's ears out with it being too bright, without it being too much. So I think he really nailed it with this Piccolo Trumpet Straight Mute. And those are the 3 brand new mutes from Hawkins Mutes. And when I say brand new, I mean brand new. This last week, he just got the final packaging, and this week, these mutes are out. They are released. Apparently, there are a handful of orchestral players who already have these. Terrence Blanchard just got some. So they're getting out there. They are getting into the hands of players at the highest level in classical, orchestral, and jazz. So I think that is just great. Brand new mutes, new designs, innovation. And anytime you've got patents, well, that means you've gotten something new, that you've created something that someone hasn't done before. So big congratulations to Tony Hawkins, and a big thank you for sending me these mutes so that I could review them. I want to thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.